Ask 100 different people how much money you need to retire, and you will get 100 different answers. And you're about to find out why. Hello everyone, my name is Zach, and welcome to On Cash Flow, where I help you become a master of your own cash flow. Now let's get started. The short answer to how much wealth do you need to retire is it depends. Duh. It depends on how much income you make now, how much you spend now, what you want your lifestyle to be, what your lifestyle currently is, what your investments look like, so many different factors. Obviously, it depends. However, I think we have to come up with some kind of answer, and I think the best answer that I have come up with is you probably need to be somewhere in the range of the top 10% of wealth in the United States in order to retire early, and possibly in order to become financially independent. And I'm about to tell you why I think it's somewhere around the top 10%. But first, let me share with you some really cool data here on the top X percentage of household net worth. So you can see here, if you want to be in the top 1%, then you need about $11.1 million. If you want to be in the top 5%, you need about $2.6 million. Top 10%, $1.2 million. Top 15%, around $795,000. Top 20%, $558,000. And I'll go ahead and stop at the top 25%, which is $403,000. Those are the net worths needed to be in the X percentage of wealth in the United States. But keep in mind that is household wealth. Everyone who lives in one household. So this could be one person, two people, three people, and possibly even more. And now that you've seen that data, I can begin to explain why I believe somewhere around the top 10% is the magical number here. But really quick, I want to let you know that I do have another video on how to get started on the path to financial independence, on how to get started on the path to early retirement or even regular retirement. And I want to share that video with you at the end of this video, so please make sure you stay to the end, okay? Because I'm going to redirect you to that video. Here's how I figured out that you need to be somewhere in the top 10% of household net worth. I went and I looked at the median household income. For the median household income, it was about $70,800. And I went ahead and just rounded that up to $71,000. And then I took that number and I applied the 4% rule. But even though this is the median household income, I really think it's important to note here that this does not necessarily reflect your individual circumstances. You might live somewhere that's very expensive. You might live somewhere that's a lot cheaper, because there are many different kinds of cost of living in the United States. There's many different medians, and this is just the literal national average. But even if you look at just a small difference between a non-family household and a family household, you can see a dramatic difference in the household income, like the median household income. So look at that, the dramatic difference when you just look at family households versus non-family households. And that is just one small example. But in order to try to keep things simpler and try to apply it to as many people as possible, we're going to be using that national median income of around $71,000. And by the way, if you want to improve your household income, one thing that you can certainly do is hit the like button on this video. Because if you hit the like button on this video, then that means that YouTube is probably going to recommend more of my videos to you. Then you'll have more knowledge and more skills in order to take action on and increase your household income. Okay, but seriously, let's get back to calculating how much net worth you need in order to properly retire. If we take that median household income of $71,000 and we apply the 4% withdrawal rule to it, then we're going to multiply it by 25. And 71,000 times 25 is $1.8 million. Now, if you needed $1.8 million in order to retire, that would put you around the top 7% of households in the United States. But wait, retirement costs less than working for a living on average. Now, of course, it's going to be very individual on how much less or possibly how much more it's going to cost you to retire versus work for a living. But if we look at some general rules, Fidelity says that you need about 55% to 80% of your pre-retirement income in order to retire. Now, we're going to go ahead and take an average, kind of a middle number of that, and we're going to look at 70%. So let's apply that you need 70% of $71,000 in order to retire. And if we do the math on that, it's about $50,000 per year. That is how much you would be spending in retirement, in early retirement, in financial independence. Now we can take that $50,000, apply the 4% rule, and we will come up with $1.25 million. This is where you get put in the top 10% of wealth in the United States when it comes to household net worth. But I do have a big caveat, however you say that word. I do have a big one of those that you need to know about. But really quick, this leads me to the big question. I want to know from you in the comments below. What do you think about this number? What do you think about all of these numbers? Do you think it's really necessary to be in the top 10% of net worth in order to retire comfortably, have a pretty good average lifestyle in the United States? Do you think this number is way too high? Do you think it's way too low? What are your personal thoughts on this? Please let me know in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear from you. But now I want to say, I don't really think that a lot of people even really need to be in the top 10%. Even though that's the number that I came up with based on the 4% rule, there are some other things that I think that most people, when they retire, whether it be early retirement, regular retirement, or just become financially independent in order to pursue other things, I think that most people probably can get lower than that 70% of pre-retirement income. Here are just a few examples of why you might not even need to be in the top 10%. If you're going for closer to a regular retirement age, then you're probably going to be receiving some benefits through Social Security and Medicare. And an additional income stream and reduced expenses like medical expenses, that could be pretty significant, and therefore you don't need as much net worth because you have that dependable income stream and you have a dependable fixed expense when it comes to your medical expenses. Another one could be once you retire or retire early, you might have a paid off house, and therefore you no longer have a large fixed expense like you did when you were working for a living. And then that might drive your percentage of pre-retirement income down closer to that 55%. Another one might be you might move somewhere that's less expensive. So you might work now in a high cost of living city because you can make a higher income there. But once you retire early, you may no longer need to or want to live in that more expensive city. And that can drive you closer down to that 55%, etc. and etc. There are so many different things that could lead to you to not really needing to be in the top 10%. But there is something that you really do need to do. And that is you need to watch my complete guide to getting started on the path to financial independence, getting started on the path to early retirement or even regular retirement. That video is going to pop up right up on the screen right after I get off the screen. And I highly recommend that you check out that video. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm Zach from OnCashflow.com, and I hope to see you next time. But first, in order to, those are the numbers. But try to national household meet, and we apply the 4% because